Hi, thanks for watching my video. This is a tutorial on a simple check register that I made that uses Google Sheets. It's available on Etsy, so if you did not come here from Etsy, I will have the link in the description. If you came from Etsy to watch it, then let me just give you a brief tutorial. Okay, so once you have purchased the register, like I said, it's formatted for Google Sheets. It may work in Excel. I don't use Excel. I only use Google Sheets. So I cannot guarantee if everything will format correctly. I purposely made it only for Google Sheets. So this would be the landing page, the start here. Right on this page, the only thing you're going to do on this page is just change the colors. So you can see right here, this says soft rose, but there's some other color choices. So let's go to coastal blue. You click that and it makes it more of this blue. Let me show you on one of the other pages. Okay, here's one of the sample pages. I'll show you in a second. And then we'll go back to it, and let's say you prefer gold. Okay, so these just show you, these little boxes right here, what they look like, because you have different colors in each boxes. So that's why you see this variation on gold, that it has these different shades. If you go to the soft rose, you can see that, oopsie, I'm clicking in the wrong spot. Click right here, soft rose. You can see that it has these different variations. Okay, so that's what you do on the Start Here page. Then we're gonna go to, there's only 2 tabs. I don't count the Start Here. We're just counting register and card charges. You go to the register. Now this is basically just an online check register, but it does more. So I put in some fake information here. And you can personalize this if you want it for other things. So we'll just start real quickly. You could put a starting balance, let's close that, for your checking account. Whatever this checking account is for, we'd put a starting balance. This number where it says emergency and vacation, those do not go anywhere. Whatever you put there stays there. It doesn't add into anything. It's just a way that maybe you want to have some numbers always available. Like a running total, like if you have a savings account for emergency, you want to always know kind of how much you had in there. Sorry, that keeps popping up. And then maybe you want to keep track of how much you have in your vacation fund. So you can change these titles, you can change any of these titles to anything you want. If this is like, maybe you keep your, maybe you're married and your spouse, maybe this is your checking and then you have a joint one. So maybe you could change this to like a joint checking, and then maybe your spouse, you for whatever reason keep track of their amount too. So you can do it for whatever you want, but it does not, in this one and in this one, they do not have any impact on the numbers here. They're more of just a reference, okay? Then it's going to go with today's date. And the reason it needs to know the date is because we have a option in here. Well, it's not an option, it comes with it. For how much you need daily. So it has to be able to calculate from the date you put in for a bill to what the current date is. So that's why that's there. So what you can do, this title right here, what I recommend is using this for 2 different registers. This one you can make just a 1-month register, let's say, and maybe put May over here. Or what I do in mine is I start it, like let's say we're on the 13th of April. So I would have started this April 1st. Actually, I would have kind of leaned into it like the ending of March, because as your bills go away, you have more room. And so then I start moving things from the next month over to here, so I can kind of be watching them here. But you could do it however you want. I just recommend, for me, I would make this for April. Now that we're in the middle of the month, I would have probably moved all of my May bills over to here, and then this would become June. And then what I do is at the beginning of the month, I go through, well, I do it actually in advance of that, but on the beginning of the month, when I move them over here, I will have an entire month of bills that are going out. And one quick tip, if I write down, let's say I have a Chase card, and let's say I don't know how much the bill is because I haven't received it, but I want to account for it in a budget. I will put the words pay Chase so that I know I have not scheduled a payment. It's just in my budget so that I can remember, that's right, I have that expense coming out. Once I schedule my payment in advance, then I make it just Chase. That's one tip. On these, you can do one line can include both an outgoing, like you put the date, it was for cable, let's say $125, but then you could say maybe you got a tax refund for $200. Then you can put a deposit for $200 and what it's for here. You never touch these, they will do it themselves. And make sure you list things in the right order. Don't put the first here and then put the 10th and then jump back to the second, because it will not know how to calculate. And so your numbers may get messed up. So make sure the dates are always in the right order. Then whatever your last number is here, you can see it's right here, 3,525, will become here. Because the idea is that you can start working into the next month now of, okay, where am I at? And you would have all your bills in here for that next month so you can see. Now, where you're going to land. Are you going to be a little tight on money and, you may need to bring in a little extra income? Maybe you do like photography as a side job and you say, okay, I'm going to have to find somebody that needs to get some graduation pictures or something. So they're also, it's going to be green if you're in the plus side. And then let's just put in a big one. Let me just copy this. And we'll just make it the same thing just so I can do it quicker. And let's say you put in a $5,000 bill. Now you can see you're in the red. Now let's say you put in another bill, and we'll just call it the same thing, the easier. And now you're going to put in 200. Okay. And let's just do a couple more. I just want you to see something that populates. So let's just go boom, boom, boom. Okay. Now you can start seeing, we'll just make these a little smaller so the number's not so crazy. You can start seeing how much you need by these days, so what you would need every single day from that point to start saving. Obviously, we've got a bigger number here, so let's make it smaller and make it more realistic. Okay, so then you can start seeing, okay, I need that much by those, per day. The last thing is if you go to card charges, this can be used for multiple things. You can either get a credit card that you are a new statement, and you can, every time you charge, you can put something in it, get the total. And if you know that this card, let's say you said that this was your Chase card, and let's say you know that your card is always due on the 5th, but it's not a definite total, but at least you know you have a rough idea so far of what you spent. You could just take that and you could say, okay, I know I've got Chase coming up, it's going to be at least 70, and I always will write in here estimate. And if I need to do a deposit on that line, I'll just skip that, do it on a different line. But that way I know that that is not a true bill yet, it's just a rough estimate. But you could also use it for keeping track of tax payments, because these boxes don't feed in anywhere. They just add up whatever in each box. They don't go into your register unless you manually put them there. But you could keep track of tax payments if you're traveling for work, or you're trying to keep track of expenses for Christmas presents or something. You could be writing them in here as you're going along so that you have them. Or if you're traveling for work, you could write them in here so that you can make sure you didn't forget anything when you submit your report. And then, like I said, you just have to manually put them in. If you want to delete something, it's easier to delete it on a computer. First of all, you could just hit delete, put your cursor in there. I don't usually do that. What I usually do is, let's say the Chase cleared and I don't need it anymore. So now I would usually just grab these up to this box. You never touch these boxes. I would hit copy, and you could either paste it and then you would still have to delete a line, or just hit delete and put it in there, and now it moved it up and it got rid of the Chase. So I hope that helps. And I forgot to mention, whatever balance is here will carry up into here. Actually, I think I did mention it. So I hope that helps. It's just a simple one. I didn't want to leave it to where you marked something and then it stayed here, because then you still got to look at it. And that's where you would keep that in your bank account or in a physical check register or something if you really want to keep track of it. But so many of our purchases or expenses are for things that you're not going to write off on taxes. You're not going to use it for anything that you really need to keep track of. It's just, you're just paying a water bill. So once it's paid, get rid of it, move on. So I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, let me know. Bye-bye.